Hey, hello, I'm Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. Wait, you didn't think people would know who I am? Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. No, hey, I don't talk like that. You want me to sell this? Buy it. Try Durachill or else. If you want something really nice in your laboratory, buy Durachill. You can't go wrong.
Welcome to Cannabis Tech Talks, your weekly source for news and insights at the intersection of cannabis and technology. I'm Patricia Miller, Executive Editor with Cannabis and Tech Today, and joining me for this episode is Micah Brown with Iration and Hanna Brand, owner and director of sales at Autumn Brands. So let's dive in, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming. So you guys are doing a really cool collaboration. Can you tell me a little bit about what drew you together, why you decided Tunes and Autumn Brands would make an excellent pairing?
I think for us as a band, it's been a long time coming of thinking about entering this space. Our music pairs well with cannabis. We use it daily to enhance our touring life and our studio life. And for Autumn Brands, they're a similar local family-owned business in the Central Coast area from Carpinteria. Our band formed in Santa Barbara. So we met Autumn at a show, and she kind of pitched us on this idea years ago, and it's taken this long to get to the finish line, but we're finally here and we're excited about it. So
That's excellent. Yeah, I think cannabis and iration really go hand in hand. Excellent pairing there. Anything to add to that, Hannah?
Yeah, for us, it really made a lot of sense just from, the way they conduct themselves as individual and as a band, and their presence in their section of the music community really aligns with how we carry ourselves as a family and as a cultivation and farm. We share a lot of the same ethos, and what we're trying to produce is just quality, good cannabis for the final consumer, and they're doing the same thing in the music space.
I love that. So I know Autumn Brands is doing some pretty cool stuff as far as being like pesticide free, sustainably grown. Do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit? And then maybe Micah, you can tell us why that was important for Iration to pair with a brand working on those endeavors.
Yeah, so we stopped spraying any pesticides in 2018. For us, it was, consumer safety. We don't really have any testing or long-term results of what these, well, they are regulated, but they still may be harmful, pesticides are that are in the cannabis market. So we decided to just do away with all sprays. We don't even use like the organic soaps or oils. And for us, it's, something that we were able to change kind of how we grow. We use biocontrol instead of pesticides, and then we do a lot of genetics hunting. And we felt that since this plant has such a shorter life cycle in our greenhouse, we're really able to use those more limited tools and produce something that we know has kind of our stamp of good, clean, quality cannabis to it. Sustainability wise, this has been in my family, this farm from cut flowers to cannabis for 38 years. Wow. So that has always been something we've talked about. My dad had won a few green awards when he was doing cut flowers. And so going into cannabis and having more opportunity to kind of take the extra steps to be more sustainable, reclaim water, don't use pesticides, and then also choose sustainable packaging was really important to us.
I love that. And that was important to you as well, Micah?
Yeah, I think for all of us as band members, individuals, as a business, we all strive to be as mindful as we can. Obviously, touring, it's hard to be, really eliminate your carbon footprint, but there's little ways every day you can try to be healthier and be more conscious and just try to be helping and part of the solution, not part of the problem. So for us, yeah, just seeing how they operate, also seeing their passion. As she spoke, her dad's been a farmer for 40 years, and it was just kind of cool to see their story and meet them and see how they operate. And it was just a very family vibe from the jump. And so we felt like it was a good fit for us
Yeah,
just
I'm
to kind of keep that, keep that ethos going with our brand too. Another way to kind of tie that in. So
well, and as vocalists, I'm sure protecting your lungs and your throat from harsh chemicals and things that you don't know the effects of is probably super important too.
yeah, we try to eat healthy. We try to do as much as we can to prolong our longevity and our health. Touring is not the easiest, healthiest lifestyle unless you really kind of set your mind to that and stick with routines and things like that. And so, yeah, eliminating plastic water bottles as much as we can and just all those little things. So this kind of ties right along with it. My mom has been shopping organic since I was a kid. Like she was way ahead of that organic fat, phase like in the 90s. And, she kind of instilled that in me. And I know another few of the guys in the band are the same way. It's like it's been kind of ingrained in us coming from California and Hawaii. I think those two states in general kind of have a little bit of a more of a tie with nature and the bounty of Mother Nature in a way. So I think this is just another way that we kind of push that forward.
I'm so grateful to hear that you're both being mindful about that. And I think when I think about inhaled pesticides, I did an article for the last issue about, there just isn't much research about what happens when you light pesticides on fire and and inhale them. So it might be safe to eat, but maybe not to
Mhm.
ignite.
Yeah.
And we just don't have a whole lot of data around that. So until we can get more of that, I'm always grateful when I hear about brands kind of trying to be conscientious for the consumer who may not know to be looking out for those things. I think when we see consumer packaged goods, we're like, hey, it's been tested, it's safe, it's safe for me to consume. But there really are a lot of elements that we just don't have the data around yet. So I can appreciate both of you being thoughtful about that.
Yeah, one thing my dad always says is, you can go to the farmer's market and pick up your lettuce and go home and wash it, but you can't wash your weed.
Yeah.
Whatever's on there is on there.
Yeah, I
So,
like that. That's a good way of
Yeah.
looking at it. So Iration has had a lot of success on streaming platforms. Isn't it like over 8 billion streams you've had?
I don't know the total numbers. It may not be 8 billion, but I'm not sure exactly. I know between Pandora and Spotify and YouTube, and if you collect all the data, it's humbling to think that that many people keep supporting us year after year and day after day, listen to our music. So yeah, it's definitely great to just try to keep putting out good music for people to keep listening to.
Yeah. Well, so how does technology play a role in your approach to music creation? Are you thinking about it, how it's going out, streaming versus other platforms now? CDs seem so outdated. But does the technology play a role in how you're creating the music?
And how we're creating the music, there's definitely, technological advances as far as the process of recording music have definitely come a long way with all the different platforms that you can use to make music. I could go down a rabbit hole of that, but in general, the way we come up with songs and write songs and create songs as a band, it's still pretty true to who we are. I think technology kind of more plays a role in how you market the music and how you get it out to the people these days. Like you said, CDs and record sales are a thing of the past at this point. It's all about streaming and yeah, the DSPs that you have to kind of play the game of how to figure out how to get your music heard by the most people and with the way Spotify is and all these things nowadays it definitely technological advancements and changes definitely play a role in how you get your music out there to the market, and so there are ways to like tap into the algorithm and strategy and releasing and how you do all that. It definitely has changed over the years, so we're thankful for our management team. We have people that are kind of dedicated to always seeing what's on the forefront. And now with AI coming into the picture, it's always good to stay educated with what other artists are doing and what record labels are doing, just to know if that's something that we want to try or something that we feel like is worthwhile to instill into our strategy. So yeah, it's definitely something that we keep our finger on the pulse of as much as we can.
It's interesting being a creative type of creator these days because you don't just get to create. You kind of have to think about how you're going to market yourself and all of these other avenues. And maybe that's always been the case for creators. How am I going to sell this? But I was saying to my fiance this morning, like, I wish I could just be like that hermit writer who doesn't have to think about, marketing and social media and algorithms and all these things that seem extraneous to the creative process, but they're really a part of it.
I agree with you. I have the same mindset sometimes. I just wish I could just write the songs and then like they would just be out there and it wouldn't be so hard sometimes. But there's in today's day and age, there's AI artists now. There's people that are coming up with just a full new artist that they're creating out of AI and like a character that they're making and the songs are becoming made with AI now. So for us as real humans that are actually picking up guitars and playing music, I think there's a balance between trying not to treat your music as a commodity and still thinking about it as art and thinking about it as something that like you're putting out into the world for forever. It's our legacy as far as when we're long gone, these songs will still be out there. So, it's one thing to be trying to do them as much as you can with the on the forefront of technology, but it's another thing to just really think about what it is that you're doing. And for us, we're still, we're a band, we play music, we write songs that we love and we hope touch people. And that's the bottom line at the end of the day for us. So
And that was beautifully said. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I want to keep going on the technology angle for you, Autumn Brands. Let's take a quick sponsor break. And when we come back, we'll touch on that a little bit more. The Gavita RS 1900E, a 6-rail foldable LED fixture that balances output and efficiency, delivering 1900 micromoles per second at 3 micromoles per joule. Premium Gavita diodes, powered by the broad-range Gavita driver, emit broad-spectrum white light, with increased blue spectrum, which may enhance terpene and cannabinoid profiles. The Gavita RS 1900E dims to 10% with the Gavita EL3 master controller, sold separately, for a wide range of applications and easier growth phase transitions. Learn more at gavita.com/1900. Let's jump back in. So for Autumn Brands, I know you're focused on hand trimming, hand selection. How do you feel automation sort of impacts the cannabis cultivation sector? Do you think it's a positive step? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely some automation that works for us and other things that, work for big commercial farms that need to process a lot more than we do. We've tried things like bucking machines where you take the product off of the stem. Those for us don't work because you create a bunch of smaller buds and all of your quality is kind of lost. So we still do that by hand. We've looked at different trim machines in the past and actually had people come to our farm and test different trim machines. And some of these things are very pricey. And it's like, we look at the final material and I'm like, you just lose too much quality and too much actual weight in products. So it's like hand trimming still makes sense for us. We also have a couple things in the packing room that have helped us. We still have quality, but there's some things where it helps put the product actually into the jar. And then for pre-rolls, there's a lot of technology out there right now, but I haven't found something that I feel works for the type of flour that we're putting into pre-rolls. A lot of times they want you to grind it a lot finer and dry it out a lot more, but I don't want people to smoke the pre-rolls and it's burning so hot that it's hurting your lungs or the back of your throat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We just had a contributor write an article about that and sort of the poor quality of pre-rolls. Often they're very dried out, fine grade cigarette particle size inside, and just the quality isn't the same as with hand roll. So there are some new technologies coming out now that are doing a more traditional hand roll kind of process. So you can use different grind sizes and more moist material and like get quality. But it's pretty hard to find that when it comes to mass scale.
And most of those ones are rolled like kind of on one piece of paper with a crutch on either side and then cut in half. So then it's an open tip kind of cigarette cylinder form, and not more of like the cone traditional with like a Dutch fold or a twist on there. So I have seen some of those out there as well. But for us, we've been using the Future Roll and Knock boxes since 2018 when we started our pre-roll line. And we finish them by hand. They're all individually still weighed by hand. And it's proven to kind of take a little bit more labor, but also our quality and our end user results success is very high.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's cool that you're still able to do that.
Yeah, there is one really cool piece of technology that we did bring in a few years back. It actually came from the medical world of kind of sterilizing different things in the medical device world. And it is in Washington and Colorado a lot, but we're the only one with it in California. It's called the RadSource 420 machine. So it actually uses very low like radiation to kill any DNA. When we did a comparison of flower that went in it to went out, throughout our team, no one could tell, taste, or see the difference. But it basically eliminates any DNA that's in the flower. So that means like aspergillus and molds that you can't see with your eye. If there's even a speck in there, it's going to break down the DNA. And when it's sitting on your shelf at the dispensary or sitting at home in your drawer, it's never going to grow and become harmful to you.
Yeah, that's what I really like about that tech is when it's sitting on the shelf, it might be low enough to pass the initial inspection and get on the shelf. But then if it's sitting there in a closed container and that moisture has even a little bit of the mold or mildew inside, it can really take off while it's in storage.
Yeah.
After it's been tested. So I think that's a pretty cool technology. I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah.
Also, it's named Rad 420, which I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautifully named. I like that.
But yeah, it's another guarantee that when you're picking up Autumn Brands or Iration, you know what you're getting at the dispensary is the same flower that's leaving our farm in our packing room. It's not, getting destroyed over time by microbes that we can't see.
That's always good. And so on that point, you handpicked some strains, right? That for this pairing.
Yeah, they when we first started kind of getting this process going, we tried I think about 15 different strains as a band, between all the band members, and we kind of all went on our own and did a little bit of personal R&D and tried them all out, and we came back to the table and narrowed them all down to our favorites and chose one sativa, one hybrid, and one indica to launch this line. And we're really happy with the strains that we chose and love the quality and the taste and the way it looks in the jar and everything. It was just kind of we had all those things in mind when we were picking, and I think we came down to some good choices. So
How are fans reacting so far to the collaboration?
so far so good. I mean, we've done a couple meet and greets and a couple activation events, and there's been a lot of positive feedback so far. So haven't heard any complaints yet.
Yeah, I think our first launch was the Friday they performed at Cali Vibes. We went to the Catalyst downtown Long Beach store, and they had bought in a decent amount of Iration that first week that it was available, and they sold through 25% of the store's inventory in 45 minutes just with their fans coming in. So it was a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's great. So looking forward, what's on the horizon? Or have you got more stuff planned for the collaboration, or how long are you gonna carry out your partnership?
I think that's, as far as I know, this is probably just the first kind of the opening step, and we'll see where it goes from here. I think we're excited to see what the future holds. There's no real concrete plans in place yet, but I think there's so many ways we could take this, and I think it's really up to those guys over at Autumn Brands to see what we want to do next. I think the success of this launch has been pretty good so far, so I think that's promising for us as a collaboration, as a partnership.
Yeah, so we're pretty much through the original first tested batch. So we're excited that we have their next round of flower in testing. I think that shows the success of this initial launch. It's been out for 6 weeks now, and we've sold through inventory twice and have the next batch on its way. And I think there's definitely some opportunity for some other flower products or pre-roll products to launch later altogether. And we're also excited to kind of see what their tour schedule is going to be and how we can assist with dispensaries around where they're touring to make sure that fans can find where their jars and products are.
That is clever. Very cool.
Yeah, we have some other dispensaries that are on board that are going to start selling it and put it on the shelves, and just trying to plan some in-person meet and greets and some fun events to market the product in areas that we haven't really gotten to yet. So obviously it's all just California for now, but we play a lot of shows in California every year, so there's opportunities there to tie in the live show with the Cannabis collaboration and see where it takes us.
I love it. Where can our listeners go to sort of follow along with the journey and learn more about what you're doing?
Instagram is probably the most common, I would say. Iration or Autumn Brands Instagram, or any of our personal pages. We are all trying to share fun little things that we're doing with it, and so yeah, just follow along there, or any social media that you use, whatever you prefer, really.
Yeah, I'd say social media is like the quickest what's happening where it's happening. If you want to learn more about the kind of background of the strains and the profiles, we do have an Iration landing page on our website at autumnbrands.com. You can go a little bit more depth into the genetics and the flavors and the profiles of the strains and kind of get an understanding of why the guys love them so much.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps up the questions I had. I know I learned a lot. Are there any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience before we conclude?
I will just say, yeah, you can also go to irationmusic.com. We are going to be announcing some shows coming up soon, later in the summer. So that'll be, if you want to come pair some cannabis with some live music, get the full experience, come to a live show, and keep your ears and eyes posted for that, because I think next week we'll be making some announcements on some new events. So
excellent. All right, well, we'll wrap it there, Hannah. And Micah, thank you so much for chatting with me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having us.
yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, for our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about emerging cannabis technologies and cool partnerships like this one, be sure to like this podcast and subscribe to Cannabis Tech Talks. You can also grab our most recent issue of Cannabis and Tech Today on a newsstand near you. And until next time, thanks for listening.